Now, when it comes to press handstand, most people are thinking about this style of press, a straddle, two-legged, going up at the same time. But there is an easier version, the puppy press. Now, the puppy press comes from the side, has one leg up in the air, and then you press up to your handstand that way. They're both presses because we're not jumping, we're not kicking. And the cool thing about the puppy press is it is much, much easier, and we can use either strength or flexibility. Or if you're somewhere in the middle, a combination of both. Now, the drills I'm going to go through today can be done against the wall, they can be done freestanding. I'm going to show mainly the freestanding versions just because it's easier to see. If you are going to work your press handstand, I'd highly recommend that you've done some sort of warm up for your forward fold. The deeper we can get in this position, the easier things are going to be. But also make sure that your handstand is nicely warmed up, balanced and ready to move around and show control, whether that's freestanding or against the wall. Now let's look at the movement a little bit closer. So one thing has to happen. I need to take weight into the upper back and shoulders and decrease the weight out of the feet. Now normally when we look at a press handstand position, you can see here that I've got way too much weight in this direction. So I have to walk forwards with the hip, get it on top of the hands, and that's at the point I can lift the toes off. So it's highly dependent on my flexibility, how much I can compress the legs to the torso to get that sweet spot, and also how much I can load the upper back and shoulders. And that's where you'll see a big difference between people that are very flexible or people that are not so flexible and strong. The strong person is just going to have a further forward lean of the shoulders, and the flexible person is going to be more stacked. But the hip position is actually the same. So whether I'm stacked here with the hip on top of the hands, or whether I'm using strength, the hip still needs to get on top of the hands to lift. Exactly the same thing needs to happen with the puppy press, but instead of going this way, I need to attack it from the side. So I'm going to walk around, lift one leg up, which helps me reach in that direction, which pulls the hip up and over. But I still need the hip to be on top of the hands, which allows me to lift up. Now you will notice there that I'm bending my arms slightly because I'm using a little bit more of a muscled position to easily pull myself in and out. A little bend in the arms takes the head and shoulders a little bit lower, which proportionally moves the hip up a little bit higher. That makes it easier to lift off. So number one, I would just try that. I would place the hands down on the floor, lots of weight into the hands and shoulders, walk to the side, and then lift one leg up and just see how that feels in that position. If you can lift off, then perfect, you've already got your puppy press. If you can't, we need to make it easier or fine tune the sweet spot. Now, as per usual with the calisthenics movements, it's much easier if we do the eccentric, the down phase. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a straight handstand, a straddle handstand, bend one leg, reach down with the straight leg and see where I can touch the floor, if I can touch the floor. So I'm going to go into straight handstand, notice the arm bend again. So straddle, bend one leg, come down to the side, push away, notice my head and shoulders going in the opposite direction, see tiptoe lands. So that is around my sweet spot for where this foot should be because I lowered with control. Now in reality, what's going to happen if you can't do it yet is you're going to drop at a certain point when you reach your limit, either in positioning, flexibility or strength. So when I come down, I might get to here and then drop out. So now that's a bit false because I dropped. What I want to look at on the camera is what's the point? Do I start the drop? That's the height I need to raise the foot up. So if I know roughly where that is, I can place a yoga block down, and it's probably a good idea if you mark where your hands go as well so you can fine tune it. I know where I need to be. So around this position, probably about there for the foot. So it looks like that from the side. So around there, start in that same position. Then I'm going to walk around, climb up onto the step that now gives me a booster. And look how easily I can go up now with straight arms because I don't normally need that step. That's making it even easier for me to go up. Now you might find you still can't get up, we could raise that even higher. Now if you still struggle and can't go up, we probably need to fill some more gaps. Now that could be balance, confidence in the position, it could be flexibility. So have a good stretch, give yourself a little bit more room to move. And obviously that might take more than 5 minutes, that might take 6 months. It depends where we're starting out from a flexibility point of view. And also the strength, we need to get really good and strong with the shoulder movement. Now what do I mean by the shoulder movement? I mean this under balance, forward movement of the shoulder in a handstand that I'm a big fan of when it comes to rebalancing the underbalance, starting your handstand push-ups, starting your press handstands, exactly the same for this. So we want to be able to do this movement really well, which allows me to come down because it counterbalances what's behind. So if I struggle with that type of movement, it's going to make any press harder, including the puppy press. And that's where I'd be looking at including wall leans. So we kick up with hands turned out to create happy hands, a stronger base. or happy wrists, shall I say, because it can be hard on the wrists if I keep them fingers pointing forwards. I'm going to push up to a strong position, into the wall with the shoulders, back off again. So see how I'm holding a conversation while I'm doing this? It's because I've conditioned this and I'm strong in this position. If we can't do this, we need to build it first by maybe going head to the wall so it limits the range of motion, but the shoulder to feet is still moving as one piece, and then slowly get closer and closer to the wall and back off again. What I'm going to be careful of is this. See how now I'm losing that connection, that one segment, because I'm rippling through the back and the butt, and the body is just doing a dance to come off the wall. We don't want the dance. We need that strong one segment movement that's going to concentrate on the work being around the upper back, shoulders, traps. Now there's a couple other ways you can make it easier as well. You could use a slope. So if you've got like a driveway or something that has an angle to it, place the hands lower than the feet. That's going to make you come up. You could also use a little bit of momentum off the foot. So a little bit of a kick, a little bit of a jump. So I still go around to that same position, but here I'm just bending the knee a little bit and giving myself a little bit of a jump off. It's tricky to do the jump correctly unless you're very, very close to the press, and the risk is that you make the jump too part of the movement and it's really then hard to get rid of it, and it's sort of ingrained in the position. So be careful with that one. Make sure you're doing slow eccentrics. When it comes to the wall, I would be using the wall, if we're going up, as just a counterbalance or help us with our balance like this when we go in and out of the position. You can put your butt against the wall for the straddle position and do like that to help you come down a bit slower. But again, we don't want to use the wall too much. We definitely don't want to be leaning on it a lot because it's going to be hard to get rid of. Now, if you've got a friend who's also got some awareness of how to do the movement, or who is also working the skill, that's really powerful. You can spot each other. So I'm now mimicking having hands on the hips and moving the position like that with the legs. That works really, really well, but you both need to have the awareness of what's happening. What you don't want to do is get someone to spot you who has no idea what they're doing and just does this. Well, that's actually going to hinder you, not help you. I'll be adding a puppy press program to my app. So if you're interested in that or interested in any other coaching, check out my website, www.paultwyman.com.au. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions or feedback or requests, and I'll speak to you in the next one.